Hello, Internet. My name is Camelot. Welcome back to, God, what do I call this thing? The Let's Talk thing, where I take my double-edged swing. That's the sound of my sword being unsheathed, like when Tony Curtis smiles at the camera.
And this is KaboomaNori. I don't know where the fuck I am right now.
You're to my left.
I'm in a basement.
Technically, you're to the viewer's right, even though you can't actually see them.
Dude, there's a million bugs in your window.
Shut up. They don't need to know that. And we're going to be... Actually, you'll notice I'm talking over Shadow of Mordor this time. And
who's this sexy bitch?
This is Lithariel, I believe is how to pronounce it.
It's a chick?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a really effeminate dude.
Well, let's see. Hold on.
I mean, it's Lord of the Rings, right?
I had a topic in mind. Yeah, it is. I had a topic in mind for what I want to talk about, but you bringing that up, actually, I want to save what I was going to talk about, and I want to talk about something else instead. Because when I played Shadow of Mordor, it's like one of my top 10 games of all time for sure. And I got bored of playing as Talion.
Yeah.
He's a very boring protagonist.
Yeah.
And this is actually a skin of another character you see in the game. I have a lot more. I thought she would be a way more interesting character, and then they came out with a skin eventually, and I just stuck to that for the rest of my time playing this game.
Oh, well then.
Yeah, and it just brings up to mind, it's like, is it really important to have a good protagonist? Like a protagonist you could root for, or is it just...
It definitely depends on the type of game you're playing. Like, because if you're playing like a strategy game or an RTS or whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. As long as you know what you're doing, it's fine for that kind of game. But I think, like, first person, third person, it depends on, like... Because games like BioWare games, where you play as the Inquisitor or Commander Shepard. With Shepard, there's a name, but you can choose kind of how they go about things, but it's still Commander Shepard. Right. So
it's your customized Shepard.
I think with that, there's definitely a lot more pressure to make the character likable, or unlikable if you make them a prick.
That's a good way to look at it. I never thought of that.
But if you make the character that you're forced to play as, like if they make you play as a character that isn't something you can make, like if you're Mario, if you're, whoever, definitely they have to put a lot of effort into making the character someone you can put up with the whole game.
Well, that's exactly my point.
But if it's like a Bethesda game, it doesn't matter as long as the customization is good to an extent and there's some depth of choice.
So you think there's more pressure if it's a customized character to want to make a likable or unlikable character?
More pressure to a character that's pre-made for you.
Right.
To a named character. If you have to play a Shepard, don't make it a pain in the ass to play a Shepard, because if
so the opposite of what I just...
Because if you're playing a Bethesda game and you're not having fun, it's more on your end that you're not going out and doing stuff.
Right. I thought, Talion, he was just a very, blah blah, family murdered, go out revenge.
So, stereotypical, but was it a character that made you just not want to play at any point? Because there have been some annoying protagonists.
Well, I mean, despite the fact that he's a generic ranger, I did like his design and all that, and switching around with his coat, or his little bear rug or whatever is interesting.
So he's still fun to play as to an extent, you just don't connect with him as much.
No, I had way more fun playing as, even, what was the Black Hand skin. But I like the Lithariel skin because I thought she was the most interesting character in the game. She's this rebel, trying to, free the slaves and all that from this recently uprising of orcs.
Don't piss off the bees.
Of Mordor. And, I think you can hear the 12 o'clock bell going on in the background.
Yeah, we live in Silent Hill, just so you know.
Pyramid Head's gonna come and whoop my ass. But Lithariel, she's the daughter of this, sea witch or something like that, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. I don't play this game for the story mode. I play the game for the orcs. Let's not kid ourselves. And Lithariel, I just thought, dude, I want to see this chick's story. Plus, also, it's a bit of a side note, and this is something I'll talk about in another episode someday. Remember how in Unity they were making a fuss about animating female characters?
Which was a bunch of bullshit.
This is a skin over Talion, and it's clearly animated differently.
I mean, I only thought it was an effeminate dude because, you didn't point it out to me, and I'm like, well, it looks like, Legolas or whatever. But now that you've pointed it out, it does... I guess you could say the point is, if you're having characters where it's, big buff dude and then small willowy woman, yeah, that would be an issue. You would need to make a whole new build for it. But this is, I don't see why it's so difficult.
Well, I would have been fine with a DLC playing as her, but I kind of like the fact that you could just put the skin on her. But my point is, I would have loved to I would rather the entire game was played by her, because she seems to have a lot more knowing and involvement in what's going on in Mordor.
So you're saying that your suspicions were correct, that would make it more fun over playing as...
Right, and there was just a lot of games that I have in mind where, throughout history, where you are playing as a boring main character, and you run into way more interesting characters yourself. Now, I'm going to go blasphemous here for a second. Batman comes to mind, because he's a badass. Let's not take that away from him.
But there's only... I mean, after 4 games of playing as Batman, you want to play as Robin or the Joker.
Right. I would rather play as Robin, because it would seem like more of a challenge. Because it's Robin. He's not going to be able to know what to do all the time.
As much as I love Batman, Robin's got so much more personality.
Right. Every single villain in his games has stolen the show. Even guys like Deadshot, for me, have stolen the show.
Deadshot's a little shit, and I love him.
I love Deadshot. He's one of my favorites. He's very underrated.
Quick question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Will Smith playing Deadshot?
I'm interested to see how that's gonna work out.
So you're not totally down on it, but it is definitely a wait and see approach. Like, will he bring anything to it?
Well, after Heath Ledger as the Joker, I don't. Except, there was a point where I went back to my little annoying ways, and I was like, oh, Ben Affleck, he can't be Batman, but then again, it is Batman, so it might work for him.
Like, the majority of people totally wrecked on the idea of Heath Ledger being the Joker before it happened, and then once it did, it's all anybody could talk about for 2 years.
Right. I mean, like I'm not trying to taking a step back. I'm not trying to rip on Batman. I love Batman.
Oh yeah.
But I just want to see. It's not that I want to see someone else for the sake of someone else. I just think, honestly, there might be someone interesting to play as.
I think when you're like 15, you're gonna defend something to the death to the point of being obnoxious.
Right.
Because that's just how you are. But when you've been in a fandom as long as we have, we remember the original cartoon and all that.
We can understand you guys.
We've been in the fandom long enough to adore something, but still speak about it objectively, like, oh yeah, we love this, but this was absolute shit, and they should have worked on it.
Like Nintendo fans, they've been getting the short end of the stick. And I can't call myself a Nintendo fan, not because of recent events, but because I've just been more interested in PlayStation and all that.
I am still, I'm still kicking myself for not yet playing Splatoon, and even the new
we do own a Wii U.
The only motivation for me at this point to play more Super Smash Bros., just because I'm so burnt out on it, is new characters.
Right.
But they didn't really bring in a new character that I was like, okay, I have to get this to play as this character.
Right. Everyone's rightfully flipping out in a good way. Reacting positively that Mewtwo's coming back. And see, that's what I'm saying. Everyone wants to play as their favorite character. See, now, favorites, that's, when it's among a roster of characters, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. Also, I may have my favorite, but I also have the one I main. The character I main isn't always necessarily the one I'm best as.
Yeah.
Or the character that's my favorite. Because, with Mortal Kombat X, my favorite character is Ermac, but the one I'm best as is Kano.
Right. Oh, boy. The one I like playing as the most is Jason, but I think I'm best as Johnny.
You are a powerhouse with Johnny, I won't lie.
Yeah.
And it gets annoying!
I did try to work on the other character. I kind of gave up on... No, I wouldn't say give up. I kind of petered out on Mortal Kombat X when Tremor came out. Not because... I'm not going to say he's a reskinned Ryu, or in this case, reskinned Scorpion.
He seems like a badass, but it's just we've played it so much, it's
Yeah.
It's not a character that's going to get our ass back in the seat.
Yeah, maybe I'll boot it up and play it again every now and then.
Is there a character that isn't in Mortal Kombat X that you would replay it for? If they added a new character?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Is there any single character that would make you say, yes, I'm going to sit down and play this now?
Well... Speaking of, since we're on the topic of characters, there was a lot of characters that they brought out for the Mortal Kombat lore, and you pretty much got to play as all of them by Armageddon, minus Chameleon, I think.
Well, yeah.
Spell with a K or C, I forget, because one of the chameleons was already in it. But
because there's 2 chameleons. One's the rainbow-colored one, and one's...
right.
Yeah.
Exactly, but there were so many, it was like, God, they need to kill off a lot, which I really thought was, as stupid as it was, a masterstroke at the end of Mortal Kombat 9 after my first initial shock, that Sindel just... pulled a godlike Unreal Tournament combo on all those characters and just killed them off. And then I realized eventually, man, this was genius. They got rid of a lot of stupid characters doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say stupid, but there are definitely some characters that really are just reskins and add nothing to the story.
So to answer the question, right, I will agree with that. To answer the question, I don't actually have an answer to that. There's not a single character in Mortal Kombat.
That's why I think
it'd just be guest characters.
Yeah, that's why Mortal Kombat X is... I think good is because there isn't a character that says, man, I really wish they added this character. They kept it to a good... If anything, the original characters, like they're okay and all that. I like Cassie.
Yeah, I love Cassie.
But why was the story mode about them and not the new badass characters?
Right.
Like Ferritor.
I love Ferritor. Ferritor's my favorite. Aaron Black, even.
Yeah. Like, and they could have at least given us... Was there a chapter where you could play as Ermac or no?
Nope.
Yeah, and he was... They made him so unique in this one compared to his previous installments.
He was like the concierge to the Dawn.
Why didn't we get to play as him for a round, you know?
Yeah, Ermac definitely has a very good character development all of a sudden.
He had resting bitch face the whole story mode.
He did. Resting bitch face, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, he's supposed to be this amalgam of all these souls, and he's not supposed to have any single personality, but I think he's been alive in that form long enough to where he is kind of getting his own personality.
Right.
And he's just really fucking... Without even saying anything, he just seems really fucking prissy about everything, and I just adore it.
Now, back to the Shadow of Mordor thing, and I guess towards other games. Lithariel, I wouldn't say necessarily she had a great, interesting character arc. She just had a more interesting character arc than Talion. And that's what I want to go ahead and say.
I do like her design.
I do.
Yeah,
I do
seeing
too.
from the front, I don't... The confusion was just, it's Lord of the Rings, so it's an effeminate elf man.
But yeah, when it came down to it, it's not that she was a great character compared to Talion. It's just Talion was that boring to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he had his moments, but at the same time, it's like not like I haven't seen this from Aragorn before.
Not to be like, I'm not gonna wave the feminist flag here, but I would definitely like to see more games with characters like this.
I know, I would too. And like that Zero Dawn Horizon game.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like her too, except with I think red hair. That robot dinosaur hunting game.
I'm not.
I wish I was making that up.
I'm not totally caught up on The Walking Dead, but I would definitely play as oh shit, what's her name?
I forget how to pronounce it. I haven't watched the show in forever.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, like Katana Mycone?
Something like that.
Mycone? I'm so sorry, Walking Dead fans.
I want to see more games where you can play as chicks like that.
Yeah. Just, take charge. I always thought, believe it or not...
Where they don't make a big deal out of it. Like, right here, it's just like, oh, you're just playing as her.
Believe it or not, I thought Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw was a perfect...
just kind of a perfect foot in the door, but with tongue-in-cheek.
For both sides, both the superficial man and the empowered woman, let's say.
It's a sneaky way of getting men to play a sneakily feminist game is by saying, oh, here's this hot chick that's blonde and giggly, wears a cheerleader uniform, surprise, she's a feminist icon.
Yeah, and by that, I think we should clarify, is because, she has a good family life. She cares about her family. She's in charge of the situation. I mean, for Christ's sake, her boyfriend is a head tied to her hip, and not in the fetishistic kind of way you might be thinking of, dirty man.
It's like a role reversal. Instead of the quote-unquote... I don't know if Navi was ever meant to be a woman, but I think that was always a play on, the obnoxious female sidekick.
Aw.
So, it's nice to see a bit of
I love Navi.
I love Navi, too, but I'm just saying it's nice to see a bit of role reversal, where the plucky little side character that's like the Navi type is... some poor son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's just a head on a chain.
Yeah.
Who kind of looks like Reese.
Yeah, and see, he
kind of does. He was 2 steps away from yanking his head off. So.
God, dang it! That was a good moment. Reese. That was a very good. He's a very good character in my opinion, because he's affably evil. He's a dick.
He's a shit. I have to say this.
But he's a lovable dick.
I have to say this. I am so jaded when it comes to, I can respect a good gory scene as much as the next person, if it's done well and it's not totally fakey looking.
Yeah.
I don't like too much gore. The first game I ever played was Doom on the SNES. I love zombie stories, body horror. Akira's my favorite movie of all time. I love creepy shit like that. I'm so jaded by it. That scene in the last episode of Tales of the Borderlands where Reese is just yanking himself apart. That is the first time...
And it was mostly robot parts.
That is the first time in gaming history that something made me feel physically nauseous.
Squick factor.
It was Squick. It was like, oh my god, what are you doing? I mean, with Everett in The Walking Dead, it was like, oh, it's just...
game, Walking Dead.
Let's just do this, that was intense. But it didn't make me want to vomit. That made me want to vomit.
Yeah, like the finger cutting off scene in Heavy Rain. Just because they had that scene doesn't make him an interesting character. I always thought, oh god, what was his name? Ethan? Ethan Mars?
Ethan Mars?
Yeah, I didn't think he was actually that interesting of a character, despite the fact that he had these great moments, you know?
Norman Jaden had...
Norman Jaden was the shit.
I think it was the ambiguous accent.
Yeah, Norman Jaden.
But, where was I going with this?
I think they all had ambiguous accents.
I think the point I'm trying to...
Crud, we didn't realize there was a limit, as you were saying.
Okay, I think the point I was trying to say as far as video games go is to get the kind of ick factor of Cross, you don't need a lot of gore. You don't need in-your-face gore. If anything, that comes off as cartoonish and immature.
Yeah.
Like, for Doom, fuck yeah, give me all the cartoonish gore you want.
Because that's what it's all about. You're killing demons, for Christ's sake.
But with me...
Oh, and possibly for Christ's sake.
But with me, it's the subtle things or the intense things. Like, it doesn't need to be straight up gore to be like, oh my god, that's disgusting. With Reese, it was robotic parts. But it was still this slow thing where you as the gamer, you have the controller in your hand and you're the one that has to do this one bit at a time. And it's just like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. Another game that pulls it off well, the ick factor without being gory, I think is fighting Gigas in Earthbound. Because, yeah, it's these waving red lines of what the fuck, but there's no gore. It's just fucked up. It's just the music and the... Like, I'm playing this on the gamepad, and I'm, like, tilting my head away because I'm getting nauseous.
Would you say, like, on the topic of good video game characters, and particularly main characters, I guess, would you say Gigas was the character?
Well...
Or,
it's...
Gigu?
Well, see, there are a lot of Earthbound fans that, through no fault of their own, I mean, now that it's been re-released in the US finally as Earthbound Beginnings, that just have not played Mother 1 because A, a lot of people just don't fucking know it exists, and B, up until now, it was Japanese only. Same with Mother 3. You either had to get, like, a ROM hack or, you know, some fan translation to play it.
Right.
But, I mean, it's definitely about Ness and his mother. Like, the name Mother, it's just so much more appropriate. I love the name Earthbound because that's what I knew it as a kid.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, the whole relationship between him and his mother.
But the whole theme really is Mother. You get homesick and have to call her to heal a stat change.
I love that so much. It's stuff like that in games we need to see more of.
I mean, in the first game, spoiler alert, the whole story behind Gigas, back when he was Giga, was he was this alien... I guess the closest thing you can relate it to is a prince, I suppose.
Right.
Like, so they abduct these two humans, I forget the names. I think it's Maria and George.
Right.
And so they say, hey, you gotta raise this alien baby, whatever. They're trying to, you know, see, like, what'll happen to his abilities and stuff being raised by humans. Because they don't have that kind of system where he's from.
Right.
So they raise him, you know, this alien baby up to, you know, be whatever. And George's like, man, I just want to escape back to Earth. But he has all this knowledge of psi abilities with him, which is, you know, you can't let that happen.
Right.
So I don't know what happened to him, if he got killed, whatever, but it's coming to the time where Gigu has to fulfill his aliens race destiny of using all the stuff he's learned to, like, conquer Earth and stuff.
Right.
But he has this cognitive dissonance, which I think is actually a name of a fan-made game for that, where it's like he's got the split in his brain between wanting to do what he's programmed to do and caring for this alien woman that has taken care of him.
Right.
That's why he loses his mind in the first place. If it was just the matter of having all that power, he might have been fine.
Right.
But it was also the conflict of, well, I can't destroy humanity. The only person that ever loved me was a human woman. Right.
See, now that's good character development, you know.
And that's, like, all without shoving it in your face. That's just, like, this backstory that you have to dig for.
And that's something I will discuss in another topic. And I gotta write that down. Something to talk about, as it were. You know, development without shoving it in your face is always a good thing.
Like, don't make your villains just these gunmen archetypes and mob bosses. And don't just make them lovably evil too. I mean, I love Loki as much as the next girl, but keep them villains.
Yeah, like...
Make them conflicted without waffling them or nerfing them.
To close out here, because I am kind of, we're kind of reaching a limit here for ourselves.
Dude, all those bugs, it's like a zombie.
Stop looking at the bugs.
It's like zombies are trying to get in. Look at that.
Would you say Handsome Jack was a good character?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Let's not question if they milked him or not.
He was a bastard to the end, but you could still see, like, he was just like, I don't want to fucking go.
Yeah.
I don't want to...
That moment, you know, speaking, like, immediately after the Norm's cybernetic removal moment of all time. The moment immediately afterward when he's on his knees is just so, I want to say cathartic for me as a Jack Glover / hater.
I mean, you've got this guy by the balls and he knows it.
Yeah, after he's had you by the balls for like 20 times as long.
And he doesn't know what to do with that.
Nope. No. There's nothing there.
No, Jack is definitely probably my top 10 villains just because he's like a lovable asshole, but an asshole to the end.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think that's another thing to point out. Assholes, when it's believably so, are kind of more interesting characters. You know, can't just have the same pretty boy, lovable hero all the time. Or at least if you're going to do it that way, at least have it believable.
It's like, just don't be afraid to play with tropes and stuff. You know, expand beyond just the stereotype. One
last thing back on Talion. It really did feel like he was just reacting to like Lithariel's situation and all that, and reacting to everything else that's going on, because all he cared about was getting revenge for his family, which understandably so, but
so it's like being stationed on some offset island while the main war hero is doing shit on the mainland and you're hearing about it, and you're still doing your job, but you're not a part of what's supposed to be the main game.
Right.
You're like an NPC off doing your own shit.
I mean, yeah, think about it. Frodo and all those guys, the real interesting heroes that have had actual struggles and all that. By the way, Sam's the real hero. They have yet to go on their adventure at the time of the story. And that's all I could think about is I'm waiting for some cameo, and the only cameo you get is Gollum, and I swear to God, that's just for like... The cameo of Gollum is only more effective to me than Yoda in Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah.
With that 5-second...
As well animated as he is in this, hot damn.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Get those creepy eyes away from me.
Yeah. Anyway, we gotta go and end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about character development, main characters, etc., etc. Not exactly sure what I narrowed down here, but I think we got the point across.
Send pizza.
Yeah, send pizza. 555 help! And we'll see you guys all in the next episode. Leave it.